Hello, everyone. This is Dr. B from Steps to the Future coming to you with this week's College and Career Conversation. I hope that you have been watching some of the other college and career conversations, and I hope you're also sharing those out with people. It's so important that all of our young folks have an opportunity to see these informational interviews so they can get an idea of all the array of careers that are out there for them. And those of you that know me know that since last summer, I'm really big on bringing in career professionals, Black and brown career professionals, because representation matters. So another thing I just wanted to let people know, next Sunday will be my 10th anniversary for Steps to the Future. I am so thrilled. I didn't think I'd make it to 10 years, but it'll be 10 years that I've been doing this. So look this week for a special discount on college and career services. So pay attention to that and some other things that I'm planning for that 10th anniversary. And again, remember, as you want to join in, if you have a comment, please make sure that you join in the conversation, and we look forward to hearing from you. I am going to be so thrilled for you to hear from these two dynamic, amazing, talented women that I'm bringing to you. So we will be back on the other side. And remember, go grab a quick drink, something to, get ready, get settled so that you can come back and join the conversation. Okay, and we're back. And I want to introduce to you our two guests this evening. Now, I'm going to read part of their bios because they do so many fabulous things. We would be here all night just learning about who they are, but they'll have an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about them. So first, let me introduce Susan MyrickWilcox. So Susan was born in Louisiana and raised in Texas. She's an avid supporter of several charities focused on children and young adult education and health. Education, you guys know that's my thing. She began event planning and production in addition to teaching elementary school, as well as serving and volunteering with various team boards planning school and community events. After many requests for planning weddings and social events, she left education and started Events by Susan. With over 15 years of experience and her out-of-the-box approach to design, she creates the ultimate experience for her clients, always excited to plan a new and magical event. Whether you need an event designer in Chicago or the Caribbean, her expertise with designing weddings, social and corporate events, charitable functions, galas, her precision, execution, and creativity is always current and spot on. She's been profiled in several magazines, local newspapers. She eventually became the CEO of Yellow Bliss Company, LLC, which you guys will hear a little bit more about. So she and her co-founder, who you'll hear about in a few minutes, Ola Morin-Muhammed, they have these unique, beautiful, and thematic events in a box. I can't wait to hear about that. I was so taken by that, events in a box. When not working, Susan enjoys spending time with her husband and family. Hobbies include volunteering, traveling around the world, collecting miniature samples of soap and perfumes from hotels. I have a lot of those too. Watching movies, Wheel of Fortune, bowling, reading industry magazines, and dancing like nobody's watching. I love that. I love that. And our second guest this evening is Miss Ola Morin-Muhammed, who is an architect, a creative director, a mentor, an author, and a magic maker. Wow, I love that. She wears many hats, each more beautiful than the last. She established Ijo Ray, I'm close, a premier invitation and design company in June 2008. Her architectural expertise is evident in the unconventional approaches to her designs. Done with such precision, it is the background that sets her designs apart from the rest. Over the years, she has garnered accolades in the media, including the likes of NBC, the Not Entrepreneur magazine, Martha Stewart Weddings, Inside Weddings. Chicago social modern brides. She is also designed for celebrities. And folks in Fayetteville, you're going to love this one. A few mentioned are NBA superstar LeBron James and our favorite recording artist from right here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, J. Cole.
Oh,
All right, good taste, J. Cole. Ola says her life story is ever shaped by culture, geography, and a God-given eye for unique designs. Her burgeoning enterprise results from a directed path, a drive to see her creative vision brought to life, and the realization that limits are often an illusion. Her debut memoir, Get Your Foot Off My Neck. Woo, I can't wait to hear about that. Is an eye-opening memoir about a resilient little girl who grew up to become an architect and successful creative entrepreneur despite the abuse, betrayal, and internalized racism. Infused with colorful multicultural anecdotes, quotes, and story, Ola's message is clear. Stepping on necks is undoubtedly consequential. Ladies, welcome so much. I'm just, just reading those biographies. I'm like, whoa, this is somebody I want to hang out with. I might have to get on a plane and come on down to Texas and hang out with you guys. So Susan, I'm going to start with you. So tell me a little bit about your education.
Thank you so much for having both of us on the show. We really appreciate it, Dr. B. My education started with Sam Houston State University. It's about an hour and a half from Houston, Texas. I majored in criminology and corrections with pre-law and sociology. Upon graduating, I thought, I'm going to become this attorney, which I took the LSAT. I did everything that there was to take to become an attorney. However, after graduating from college, I thought, this is not for me. I want something that's a little bit more fulfilling. Disappointing, however, to my parents, but I had to do, most kids, you have to do you. So doing me, I decided, well, since I'm not going to go to law school, why don't I just substitute teach? Because at that time I was working for United Airlines, AKA Continental Airlines. So I substitute taught, got the bug, love the kids. And I became a teacher, decided to go back and get a certification in elementary school. So elementary school teaching. So I am certified for pre-K through 8th grade. From there, I actually worked on my master's for a little bit. I did not finish, but I worked toward my MBA. So there's always education and learning. However, I started my own company, and from there, I didn't have much time to complete the MBA education with building a new company and a new brand.
Oh, thank you so much for that, because education is everything. I'm a firm believer that education is transformational, that it takes us so many places. Ola, share your educational journey with us.
I would love to. It's so funny. I just learned something new about my husband while we were talking, my work husband. But I started my MBA program as well, but I didn't complete it because I discovered after the first year that I was pregnant with my third child, and that just changed everything. But anyway, my name is Ola Morin-Muhammed. You already know that. And I'm a former architect turned creative entrepreneur of Ijere. I do custom, really high-end invitations. I studied at Lawrence Tech University. It's a private university in Michigan, and they have a great engineering and architecture program there. So that's where I went ahead and I got my bachelor's of architecture. And, years later, after we married for some years, it's, my third child is when I went back to Lawrence Tech for my MBA. And then I was like, no, you can't complete it. And my husband wondered why, because I was already, running my own company. I was already working as an entrepreneur. So he didn't even see the sense of me, completing my master's anyway, because I was already, being a businesswoman.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about how did you two come together? How did this happen?
That's an interesting story. So, she's an event planner, and I do invitations. So Susan is actually my former client, and I was her vendor. And one of her really high profile, secretive, very, we can't talk about her clients. She works with some big clients. Okay. And you've already heard a little bit of some of the clients that I've worked with. So you can imagine the caliber of clients that Susan worked with as well. But she reached out to me, her client specifically, who is not, a person of color, was looking for a minority vendor. They wanted to specifically work with, a Black vendor locally here in Chicago. And so Susan did some research because she initially had somebody else that she was going to work with locally in Houston. But when her clients specified that it needed to be someone local in Chicago, she had to, kind of go back to the drawing board and find someone local. And then she, I guess, loved what she saw. And then she reached out to me. And it's been over 10 years. I can't believe it that, we have known each other for a very long time.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So Susan, tell me a little bit about, so you went from teaching to event planning. Like, how did you make that leap?
Well, the way I made the loop is at my elementary school, I was already planning and fundraising every single thing imaginable. I worked in a very indigent community. And so with me being in an indigent community, I had to find resources for my school if I wanted to do huge events for fifth graders. So with that, I found huge vendors to supply what my needs were. And then I was very blessed to have an opportunity. At that time, I was working on a project for my cousin that was marrying this really successful doctor in the Houston community. So she said, hey, if you do a great job, I'll do all of your advertising. Well, that didn't quite happen. But what ended up occurring is, to my surprise, my husband at that time had a friend who was engaged to one of, this is big time. He owned a furniture store, which is AKA now Ashley Furniture, which is everywhere. At that time, it was called Finger Furniture. He had access to the Houston Oilers, which is the Derrick Dolls cheerleaders, and a variety of other things. So she came into my living room, and I lived in a tiny apartment. I had everything on the floor. She's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm working on a wedding. She goes, well, I just got engaged. I'm going to use you. I said, oh, great. And I went on to what I was doing. So after she left, my former husband at that time, he said, you know who she's marrying? Some guy named Bobby. I was like, oh, well, that's great. I'm too busy right now. I got school in the morning. I've got to finish up with this other wedding. So she came back again and she said, oh, I fired my event planner. So now you're my event planner. I don't even know you, but okay, we'll take that. So after that short-lived relationship with her, she actually fired the planner. And she told me, I said, well, why did you fire the planner? She said she was too foo-foo. I want to work with someone that's down to earth. So I said, okay, what do you need? So she says, well, we'll get to it. Before we could get to it, she actually departed to go to the Orient with a fiance. And she said, well, we'll work on it later. Well, later meant this wedding's in a year. Circumstance occurred. And when circumstances occurred, I got a credit card in the mail, and it said, here's your credit card. Now take it, and I need you to do these things. I'm like, I haven't even had a consultation with this lady. I don't know what she wants. She said, you'll figure it out. And they came back. The guy tells me, he says, look, if you do a great job, I'll do all your advertisement in the entire city. I'll advertise everywhere. If you don't do a good job, you'll never work in the city. So, yeah, really very forward person. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? What am I going to do? I called in sick pretty much, used all of my 10 days. I did everything that I could. It was an absolutely wonderful wedding. That at that point, I quit the school the next year because I was then her event planner for all of the events that she had. And she sat on a lot of boards. While I'm not allowed to say which presidents I worked for, but I have worked for presidents, celebrities, you name it. And that was my start.
What an amazing story. So when you talk about transferable skills, you took those skills that you learned doing fundraising for elementary school and turned it into this amazing opportunity that's now grown into this fantastic business. So Ola, tell me a little bit about becoming an architect.
Oh, wow. I have a book for that. But no, so I wanted to be a cartoonist when I was young. I lived in Miami briefly, and with my mom, and before we moved to, I'm first generation, so I was born in Chicago, but raised everywhere else. So if I seem to be going around in different places, it's because I did move around. I'm not lying. I remember being in high school, and I would tell people, yeah, when I was here, I was living in Chicago, and when I was living in DC, people would think I'm lying, but I really was moving around. But anyway, I remember I just loved drawing. I love coloring books, and my mom swears that by 10 months I was drawing perfect circles, when I was very little. So I've always had that innate talent. I believe everybody has their own God-given gifts, and creativity was definitely mine at a very young age. And my mom, I told my mom I was so happy because I figured, since we were living in Miami at one time before moving to Nigeria, that I'm going to be a cartoonist. I'm going to live. We're going to go back and work at Disney World. And my mom just looked at me like, no. And do you remember the encyclopedias? I'm sure you remember. And she took out an encyclopedia, and she went to A, and she said, "Hey, look at this. This is architecture." And I was like, "What is an architect?" I didn't know how to say architect at the time. And she was at an encyclopedia, and she went to A. And he said, "Hey, look at this."
Sorry about that.
Oh, what was that? What's that? Oh, was it echoing?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's the wonderful thing about being live, right?
Right.
Don't get shocked if my doorbell rings or something. But anyway, so she told me, I needed to, look into architecture. I still get to draw. There's some math, and math wasn't my strongest suit, but she says I still get to, design. And I come from a society where you had three choices really. You're going to be an engineer, a lawyer, or a doctor. That's pretty much it. And you'll find that a lot of multicultural people of color, from Africa or even like Asia, they all have that similar, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be an engineer, or you're going to be a lawyer. And obviously I wasn't going to be an engineer because I wasn't really good at math. So my mom knew I was talented. So she kind of like, okay, we'll make an exception and get you into doing architecture. And so she told me at the age of 9, become an architect. And since then, that was my path. And, I went through a lot of obstacles. I write about that actually in my book. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, that's how I ended up going into architecture. I don't think my mom realized that it was a predominantly white male industry. I think she was just thinking, okay, do something that you will be financially set, you'll be comfortable, you'll have a career where you're making money. And so it ended up being quite an interesting journey to becoming an architect. Luckily for me, I'm one of those people, when you tell me no, I will try to prove you wrong. So it works to have that like self-confidence in yourself. I say this a lot to younger folks, to just believe in yourself and then, go for whatever is your God-given talent, and you'll be successful no matter what.
That is so true. I mean, young folks need to hear these types of messages all the time because, we can all be our worst critics.
Yeah.
So having you say that, and we have with us this evening, Michelle Burden, and Michelle's comment is that this is, awesome, that she's really loving listening to you. Michelle is an entrepreneur herself.
Oh.
So Michelle, I'm going to just talk about you a little bit. So Michelle has started a business called Business and Collard Wraps.
Oh,
and her goal is she's eventually going to have a food truck. So Michelle, I'm just putting it out there in the universe because we're going to get this food truck going.
Yeah.
So I am one of her best customers because I love her collard wraps. And what's so cool about them is they have different names. So the internship, and then there's an entrepreneur, and then there's an accountant. And they all have different fillings. They all start with collard greens, but then she adds different things.
Oh, I love that. I love
that. It's just so good. So Michelle, this time next year, you're going to have that food truck. We know you're going to have it. So we're just going to keep putting that out there.
That's awesome.
Keep putting it out there. So so Susan, as you started doing this work, as you and Ola started doing this, how did you find clients, or was it you already had a clientele that was already there, or how did you transition from your own company to working together?
Well, with Events by Susan and the pandemic having happened, prior to the pandemic, I was thinking about, well, I want to spend more time with my family. How do I do this? Because with events, you're always working basically every single weekend, every single holiday. So I'm thinking of ideas that I can do to not be able to have to continue to work on weekends and holidays, because some of my clients request specifically me, so I can't send out other people. If it's been a client with me for a really long time, I have to work the event. So I'm thinking of ideas, thinking. All of a sudden I get this idea. Why don't I do events in the box? That means that then I can go online. I won't have to work events so much because it's an online company. Clients can order exactly what they want based on their theme. So who would better help me with this? Ola. Ola and I've been at Ola for about 3 years now. I said, Ola, I got an idea. Come on, you need to do this with me. Oh no, I don't have time. I've got this book. I've got this, I've got that. I don't give up very easily. I might be the quieter of the two, but I'm not going to give up. So I just kept on and kept on. So she says, well, I'll give it some thought, but I got the book tour. Okay, well, then I'm writing up everything and I've got all these great ideas and I'm all over the place. So I called her again and said, Ola, you just have to do this. I don't care. You just got to do this. This is a great idea. So finally, she sits down and she listens to me and she goes, you know what? This is an excellent idea. I know people would really like it. And let's put this spin on that spin on it. So that's how we developed Yellow Bliss Company. And with the pandemic, I started on it in 2019 before the pandemic hit. By the time I got to a point where Ola could join in, the pandemic is already in. So we're like, well, we'll just pivot everything that we have. This way, they're going to be smaller parties, more intimate parties. People will party at their homes. So let's just do events in a box. So that's how we got started.
Yeah, I mean, and just to, not to correct you, but to refine what you were saying, I think, well, first of all, I know she was trying really hard, to get to reach out. She'd been reaching out for many years, and I kept saying no.
Yes.
But you know how the saying is, Dr.B, it's like, timing is everything, right?
Yes.
And when it's meant to be, it's just, I don't think that if I had connected with Susan or even listened to Susan, I don't think we would even be where we are right now. So I think everything was just God's timing, was perfect timing for us to connect. When I was writing the book, every time she had reached out to me, I still was totally involved with Ijorere. I was also going out and speaking at events to other stationery designers who wanted to get into luxury, invitation designs. And so my schedule was just, there was no time, and I have 3 kids and and a husband, there's so much going on. I don't even have time to breathe, let alone take on another, assignment. But when I started to write my book, which was in 2019, my philosophy started changing, and I started to realize that I didn't really have as much passion for doing invitations anymore. I've done it successfully for the past, at that time, 11, 12 years and making 6 figures. I'm doing really well, but I realized in writing my book, which was very therapeutical for me, that I wanted to mentor young women, women particularly of color, to just kind of let them know, talk about my stories and give them business sense lessons, learning lessons that I went through, so they don't make the same mistakes that I did, to get here. We all make mistakes, we did just all of a sudden start making figures and everything. And, people always see you doing really well, but they don't realize the journey to get there, right? So when she reached out to me, it was the right time, because I was starting to thinking about leaving Ijorere behind to get into more focus on something else. So I was more open to what she had to say, because when she would talk, I wouldn't even hear it. I just wanted to hear it, And so when she talked about it, I was like, That is a fantastic idea. The reality is, if you remember, Susan, you wanted to do something much bigger scale, like it was still like events. I think we were talking about a rental company at the time,
Yes.
and that was so big. And this, once again, this was prior to the pandemic.
Yes.
We had already decided that let's scale it down, let's scale it down, let's refine it, and so let's just focus on smaller events. You know, this is prior to the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, it was like, we are on trend.
Yes.
we are ready. This is exactly what we're doing. So people might think that we are pivoting into doing a smaller scale because of the pandemic, but the reality is we were already planning to focus on smaller parties, you know. So it just worked out. It's just everything was perfect timing.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And folks that are listening in, if whether you're watching this live with us or if you're watching this on the replay, this is their Instagram page. So please go and check everything out. Because again, you know, I was on there saying, oh my God, this is fabulous. Look at this, look at that. Because I have no design talent at all. Not a lick. So I would be the person, you would not be calling me to do a design, to do something. No,
Call
it
it
would
Yellow
not be
Bliss
me.
Co. Call it Yellow Bliss Co. We got you.
Okay, because it would not be me.
Yeah, I mean, this idea is like a no-brainer. We live in a society where it's kind of like a microwave world. Everybody wants things instantaneous, you know, like immediately, right? And so I'm a busy mom. I don't have time. I mean, look at how long, once again, at Susan, you know, it took me it took Susan to convince me to join her because I was so busy and I didn't want anything to overwhelm me. So, you know, we came up with this idea that what if we have everything curated for, you know, intimate parties, and imagine it being shipped to your home. Everything is just everything that you need for a party. Because the reality is when you're planning a party, imagine, Dr. B, if you've ever planned a party, how many places did it take, you know, did you go to in order to put the, you know, event together?
Mm-hmm.
You probably went to about 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different places just to put everything together. So imagine you can just go to a site, you click, you look through the themes, and everything you need for a party, it's in a box and it gets delivered to you. Just imagine that. I mean, just saying that, I'm just like, namaste. Like, I'm so calm, especially as a mom who's so busy. Right. And I'm a creative and I want something beautiful for my children, or I want something, you know, cute for my pet. That's another thing that we are doing that's completely brand new is we are focusing not just on children, but we are also focusing on pets as well, because reality is during this pandemic particularly, right, pets have been emotional supports for a lot of people. In fact, if you Google it, like if you go down to the pet shelters and everything, there's no pets to adopt. There's like no pets. Because everybody, you know, has been scrambling to just get something to make them feel happy. So to be able to celebrate, you know, the fur babies that make us happy, you know, it's just a really feel good, you know, situation. And we are marketing quality because we have the experience. We've been in the industry for many years. We're marketing convenience because ain't nobody have time to go to 4 or 5 different stores, you know, to put together a party. And we've been so good about giving people so many different options, like you just can't lose. And the wonderful thing is that we were very thoughtful in the items that we were putting in there, making sure they were either biodegradable or reusable or recyclable. So just really happy that we came together to do this, and we also have wonderful members who are part of Yellow Bliss Co, and everybody has their own expertise. So it's like, it just feels so good because it's, you know, that African proverb about moving faster when you come as a group. It feels such like a relief, especially as someone who's been an entrepreneur and doing everything by herself for so long, to be able to have a team of people who have their own little special expertise, their own little God-given gifts. It's just so wonderful.
I love that. As a mom of fur babies, four fur babies. I was talking with Susan earlier. 2 cats and 2 Rottweilers. So I understand how much people love their fur babies.
Oh yes, yes. And I have a bunny, so she's sitting here just grooming herself right now.
Well, see, I told Susan that earlier when we were talking. I said, let me close the door because one of the cats thinks she needs to make an appearance on camera. So we have to lock her out because she can't come in, because otherwise, you would see her tail all up in the air and what have you. So.
Yeah, I have my feet up right now because she would come over and try to bite my toes or something. So.
Yeah, and we have a viewer, R. Evans, who is saying hello, ladies.
Hi, Rowan. Hi, Rowan. That's for the Yellow Bliss members. Oh, hi, Nora.
Okay. And we have another person that's joined us who's she's glad to be part of the team. So this is wonderful, because one of the things that really just struck a chord with me, that when you were speaking, Ola, was about being part of a team. I've been a solopreneur for the 10 years, and I'm getting at this point where I'm thinking, I think I need someone to come on, not because the work is overwhelming, but I just need somebody to bounce ideas off of and have a conversation with.
Exactly.
Because I love my husband, but he's just not into what I do, and he doesn't really want to hear it. So it's like, okay, who else am I, especially in COVID, you're here, I did have an office downtown, and with COVID, I said, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. So I moved my office back home, and it's convenient and everything. But, when you're inside of these 4 walls, and it's me and the husband and the 4 animals, and, like, okay, maybe I need to bring somebody else on. So I love everything that you were saying about having that convenience, having the quality.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of when my kids were little, or when, we had to create a birthday party.
Right, exactly.
Did you go here? Did you go there? Oh, go looking for this, go looking for that.
It's so stressful.
Yes.
It's so stressful, especially if you're not like someone who is a designer. But even as a designer, it's stressful for me because I'm a designer or creative, people are expecting so much from me. So I'm really I'm all or nothing. I'm looking everywhere for something unique to be the talk of the town. I want to just, people like, oh my God, where did you get this from? Right. So it's so stressful though. It's so stressful. So imagine just, being able to put, stuff together and just click. You don't have to deal with any of that. You just don't have to deal with anything.
Right.
You don't even have to go to the party store, the party city to go blow balloons,
Right.
And the thing is, we were so strategic in thinking about, okay, not could this only be for children, but they can easily move on to the adults as well.
Mm.
So a lot of our themes, we are keeping in mind that adults could actually love this theme. So we have one that's like an English garden theme, a vintage tea theme. And children will just love learning proper etiquette, right? And drinking their tea, and doing their little finger. And then adults too, like you would love a nice, beautiful, garden party. So it converts easily to both adults and children. And then we have the one section for pets. And we even have matching themes for the children that goes with the pets too as well. So if you don't have children, or if you do have children, you can still get the matching, theme for your pet as well.
Wow. I was thinking that garden tea party. I'm a big Downton Abbey fan.
Me too.
And I'm thinking,
me too.
To dress up in the clothes and to have a tea. That would be so cool to do that with a bunch of girlfriends.
That is actually what we were thinking about when we put it together. So
yes. Oh, I love that idea. Mm-hmm. I just love that whole idea of events in a box, having the different things that you have. So Susan, when you were really encouraging Ola to come work with you to do this, tell me a little bit more about what your thinking was when you move forward with this.
Yes, what was you thinking, Susan?
Yes.
Well, first of all, I'm relentless with not giving up. So I would blow up her phone with text messages. I'd send emails. I would call because I have no shame in my game. So constantly would reach out to her. Finally, I was thinking that I'm the financial guru over here, and Ola is the creative. Well, I'm creative as well with special events, but Ola tends to take it to the next level. So I thought if I could bring her on, not only as a creative director, but also as president of the company, and I would serve as CEO, then Ola and I could look at what are the other needs that our company would be able to have to be successful. So we've put together definitely a global team. I told Ola, in order for this to be successful, we have to think globally. So anything that we're doing, we're thinking outside of the box. Not only is it us two, but we have a group of color. We're 5 women and 1 gentleman and a fur baby. And so with that said, we have, and a gentleman, Roland, that's the one, hey, Roland, that actually sent a message to you just a moment ago. Roland has a new title. What is this new title we have for him, Ola?
It's brand awareness and sales. He's really, really good with just being in people's faces and, reaching out to celebrities and, influencers. So I thought brand awareness was so suitable. And I think he just seems like a really genuine salesperson. I think there's always a little negative kind of salesperson, but he is so approachable. He's so likable. He's so friendly. Yes. He's so open. He's such a I can do anything you want me to do. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Yeah. So I feel like he's just a natural salesperson, and you won't even know when he's selling you anything.
And he's worked for some. And he's worked for some awesome brands.
Yes.
He's worked some really awesome brand. He's worked for Christian Louis Vuitton. Okay. Did I miss it? He's worked for
Kenneth Cole, I think.
Kenneth Cole. Yeah. So he's had some great brand representation. So it was more than fitting to bring him on as well. And then Ola, can you tell her about some of our other members?
Yeah, so we have Nora, and Nora was also on. I think she's watching us live as well. Yes. And she is our finance accounting guru. She is the one who's watching all the ins and out of, and Susan and I Susan does better with the money. We call her a negotiator. She's really good at negotiating, but I do not. Susan knows now because we've been married now for how long? Almost a year. I don't do money. I don't even deal with it. Just tell me how much I owe. I believe you. I don't want to do that. So Nora is our, accountant in finance. She's the one who's looking at all the books. She's looking at all the ins and out and making sure everything's kosher. We have Rana. Rana is Lebanese. She's our Middle Eastern Connect, and she's based in LA. And I love working with Rana particularly because both of us are true creatives. And I just as you were saying it, I wish I had someone to be bouncing ideas off. Now that we come together with Yellow Bliss Co, her and I at it. And when I say at it, we can be talking on Zoom for 3-4 hours straight.
Wow.
It's just ridiculous how much we enjoy talking about creativity, talking about design. But Rana takes it to a different level because she has a very keen eye to details. So we call her the white glover because, man, she is watching everything. I tend to look at things holistically because as an architect, you're looking whole, right? When you look at, if I was an interior designer, then I'm looking on the inside. If I'm an architect, I'm looking at the outside, just whole. Rana is looking at everything. She's looking at the dirt on a napkin. And then she will point it out and says, what is that dirt on a napkin? I'm just happy that the napkin is there. So we just love her impeccable taste, and looking at the details. So it's just such a great collaboration because she can catch all the little things.
Right.
She catches all the little things. Then we have Priti. Priti is South Asian. She's Indian. Like I said, very global. And she is the big collaborator. What do you want me to do? She is in charge of production and print. She is the one I've actually worked with in Egypt because she's the one who prints out all of my invitations for me. So she is my vendor, and I just knew that it would be a good fit for her to join us with Yellow Bliss Co. I told her about it, and she was like, she knew that she's like, oh, anything that you're doing, Ola, I want to be a part of. Because she has known me for many years. She's seen the level of designs. So she's like, whatever you're doing, I want to be involved. So that was an easy come on board person. Rana, I think, did I mention her title? Yes. She does, what is she? She is supply and design. Yeah, okay. Supply and design. So she supplies a lot of our items for us, our paper goods, our our biodegradable items and stuff, napkins and our utensils, our cutleries, things like that. So she gets all of that stuff done. And then who else am I missing? I think that's it.
No, you missed Princess.
Oh, my bunny. My bunny.
Yes, complete with the yellow house.
Princess Annie. I had to give her a Nigerian name because, we're Nigerians in here. So I gave her Annie Ola. And, so she's my Holland Loop bunny. She's our little white bunny. She gets all the white privileges in this home. She is spoiled rotten. I actually got her during the pandemic, so she's definitely my COVID, fur baby. So we would never, ever consider, because my husband does not like anything that moves around that's not human. He does not. Okay. He does not. But he made an exception because I knew he doesn't like dogs, and I'm like, look, we need some happiness in our home. We need something to distract, particularly the kids. And Annie has just been such a joy, and she's Yellow Bliss Co.'s mascot now.
Oh, that is so cute. That is so cute. I mean, having a fur baby in the house is fantastic.
It's fantastic. She brings us so much joy. She brings us so much joy. She really does.
So what has been your biggest challenge?
Yeah, still good. Okay. How many challenges to tell you about?
Yes. So up until now, things have been really great, but every company has its own challenges. Our launch date was actually the last week of June. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on in the ocean and with COVID, we now have a new launch date. So our new launch date is by the end of August. That, I would say, is our greatest challenge because we are ready to go here in the United States, but international waters has delayed our project, getting even our website up because of our products being in several different countries right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that is, I know when that freight ship was caught in the canal, and that just stopped so much. Even today I was listening to, they were talking about cars, how manufacturers couldn't get the parts for cars and stuff because everything is international. And so now that has caused the price of used cars to go up.
Exactly.
Because that's what's available.
Right.
So it's amazing. I just recently went home to Rhode Island, shout out to the Ocean State. And even renting a car was amazing.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
What do you mean I have to take a van? If I decided to use the airport, for the price that I was looking for, they had this giant van. I said, I don't want a van. So I ended up renting a car off site, but it was an eye opener. And it just makes us understand how we're connected globally, how interdependent we are.
Right. I think also another thing that I think it's a challenge for us is just like any typical, people of color is funding, finding that capital just to put this together. And we did really good because we are a group of 6, plus the bunny making 7, if you want to count the bunny as well. But, the reality is she doesn't give us any money. She just gives us cuteness, right? But with all of the members, we were able to come up with an initial amount to, be able to get those, some of the things that we needed. But our major concern is somebody who has more funding, who is not a person of color coming behind us and trying to copy our idea. Now, Party in a Box, that's not a new idea. It's not a new idea, except when you have people like us on board with extensive experience in the wedding and events industry, and we are already in a high end, we are high caliber, A-list, type event designers and event planners, we are just making the wheel a whole lot better. Like we are taking it next level, and we are giving customers a whole lot more options. Like we have over 30 themes for the children's themes, and we are rolling out 20 right now initially, but we already have 10 just ready to move along and whenever we're ready. We have 15 themes for the pets, but we're going to roll out 10 initially. And so that's a lot of products, right?
Yes.
That's a lot of products. And one of the things that Susan and I agree on is that we hate going online and you see sold out. Like that's just sold out. So we want to make sure, we know it's risky, but we want to make sure that we have everything for everyone so that there will never be a sold out situation when they go to our website, when they visit our website. But our major concern is making sure that we go viral when we actually launch, because we know that, they're going to compete. It's inevitable. We already know. And so we putting strategies in place, having, several marketing plans in place to make sure, and tactics to make sure that we really get ourselves out there. So even just talking to you right now is this is one of those opportunities to just get word out of what's coming. And we're being very strategic and very meticulous about how much information we share, because we don't want someone to come behind us and copy us. And that's going to happen. We don't care. As far as we are still making our own money, really.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
the bottom line.
It was so interesting when you mentioned about funding. One of my favorite radio hosts is Karen Hunter on Urban View Radio. And she talks all the time about angel investors and people investing in your companies and how difficult it is for Black and brown people to get people to invest into their companies.
Yeah.
And through listening to her show and some of the other speakers that come on that particular station, that's an ongoing theme about just how Black and brown businesses are underfunded, or people don't see the viability in them, or people want to come in and take it over.
And it's so interesting because we are like one of the top fastest growing consumers as people of color, but yet we are the ones that are not being catered to would help with just be able to put stuff out. It's just really interesting how that is. So we know it's a challenge, and of course COVID coming into play added an additional type of challenge. But we are women of faith, and we know that everything's still going to work out perfectly the way we have. It's God's plan.
Right. That is so true. So Susan, what's been your greatest joy in doing this work?
My greatest joy is in the end when we are at a point where we can give back, because as it said before in my bio, I'm all about giving back. For me, I love kids. I don't have any, but I love kids. And being able to give our products or give financial resources to children's homes or to animal shelters, that's going to be a really great joy for me to be able to give back to the communities in which we serve. All of our members are in different communities. So starting with our headquarters here in Houston, Texas, Chicago, we have Georgia, we've got Dallas, and we have California. So I cannot wait to spread the love, especially to the kids. Some kids, especially in adoption situations or in homes, they don't have the opportunity like maybe Ola's kids does to celebrate a private birthday party. So I can't wait to just focus on, instead of it being collective, a group of 15, everybody's birthday is in October, so we all celebrate. No, I want to make that one particular person stand out. This is your birthday, or at least give them the financial resources and the boxes. Every single month we can celebrate. If there are 50 kids, each of the 50 kids will have their own individual party.
I love that, because as a kid, having your, and coming from, a single family home where finances were tight, having a birthday celebration that was yours and yours only is like incredible. It's so incredible. And it amazes me. Well, not amazes me, but there are some things that we take for granted if we've had that in our lives. And when I hear people say, well, I never had a birthday party. I'm like, really? And just the idea of being able to give back. I'm even thinking, oh, you've got these wonderful things. People who want to give a birthday party to a child in their life or someone they know, they can go on your site and order it for someone that they know, and give back that way also. What a fantastic, I mean, I just love this idea. I'm all about, I love what you said earlier, Ola, about, the convenience and the quality, and also being environmentally friendly with your products.
Exactly.
I really love that idea because, we see right now what we're doing to our planet. So anything that we can do now to stem the tide is definitely important to do.
Absolutely.
Ola, what brings you the most joy?
That's, I think, one of the things that, once again, Susan and I share in common is when I wrote my book, prior to what happened with the George Floyd situation, I was thinking, there's a lot of resources when it comes to giving that's always geared towards women, women of color, and we all know we need that support. And I thought there was not really anything for boys, for Black boys. I'm not talking, so we have stuff for women, we have stuff for girls, but we don't have anything that I was seeing for Black young boys. And I'm like, I'm raising a Black son, here in the United States, and I'm just really concerned about that. So I actually, and once again, this is prior to, George Floyd, I said, I'm just going to have a domain. And I always liked the word onyx, and onyx stones are Black, they're strong, and so I came up with Onyx Boys, because I always came up with all these creative. I'm always coming up with ideas. 100. I came up with Yellow Bliss Co. And Susan will tell you, we went for months thinking of a name. Initially we thought we would call it Oh Susie's, and it sounded like a department store. We were going to call it Oh Susie's one time. We were going to call it Bliss and Beige. Like, we were trying to figure out a name that just meant like happiness and joy. A feel good type of thing. And it came with Yellow Bliss because bliss is always blissful. That's the sound of happiness, right? And yellow is just, you can't help but smile when you just say yellow, right? But anyway, that's a whole different topic. But so I had the domain and called it Onyx Boys. And I didn't know what I was going to use it for. I said, later in the future when I'm making a whole lot of money, I'll do something with it, have something for the boys. But when George Floyd happened, that really, I have never, and I hope I'm not going to get all emotional, I have never been affected. Like, you see things all the time. You see it all the time. And because I know that I'm someone who eternalizes a lot of things, I decided, I've always, I don't really watch the news. I don't fully watch it. And it's not because I wanted to be ignorant about it. It's just because I need to protect my mental, right? Yes. But I watched it. And I just, it really, really bothered me. I cannot, every time I talk about it, it's just still, I can't get over it. I just cannot. It was traumatic. Okay. It was very traumatic for me. And I just lost complete confidence in being in this country, to be honest, but it ignited the idea of, what, I want to start an initiative. I want to start something that will become a foundation, specifically for Black and brown boys, so that I can have some money towards, if they want to go into law enforcement or if they want to go into policy changing roles, I will support them with this foundation. And so when Susan came to me and we partnered and we were going to do this Yellow Bliss Co. And she was like, I want to be able to give, to, the foster children, to the orphanage, to, pet shelters. I was like, this is great. I want to do the same thing too, but I want to do it for the Black and brown boys who want to go specifically in law enforcement or policy changing, because that's where I feel that you can disrupt this systematic pattern of injustice in this country, and so that's what makes me happy. That's what I would be using Yellow Bliss Co.'s success towards, and just also be able to, once again, Susan and I joke about it. and I know you can relate to this, Dr. because you've talked about it, to be able to just like, oh, we can take a vacation because there's other people supporting the business that is running the business. It's just us. You know, one of us can go somewhere. Susan is used to, once again, working on weekends, working on holidays because she's an event planner. There's never a downtime. The times when you want to be with your families, you can't, because in that type of business, in that type of industry, you're working those, holidays. You can't be with your family, you can't be with your loved ones. So be able to have that flexibility to kind of like, okay, I'm no longer a sole entrepreneur anymore. We are a whole team. There are a team of six of us. We can do this. And, if Susan and I are not even around, we have Rana, we have Roland, we have Nora, that there are other people that can, who are pretty, they can help, so we can enjoy ourselves with our loved ones. Quality time is so important. If anybody doesn't realize that during this pandemic, I don't know what else.
You have just said a mouthful there. I mean, I get a little choke. You start when you think about George Floyd.
I can talk.
It's tough because I think about that whole thing. Watching George Floyd be murdered, and as a mom of 2 Black men, it stays. I felt exactly what you were saying about. Is this country ever going to see us as human? Is this country ever going to value us? And then some days I remember thinking, why am I working so hard? For what? But then again, once you come through that grief, because we were all grieving, once we come through that, it's like, what do I do now? How do I do this? And the second part of what you said is about the self-care. Our mental health, Black and brown people, we have to take care of our mental health. We have to learn how to practice self-care. We have to learn how to say, hey, I need help.
Yes.
And typically, I like I said, I came from a family with a single mom and watched her, work, and never really got a chance to enjoy the fruits of her labor.
Yeah.
Because she was always working. She was always working. So that is, that is so important. I need to listen to you two more because I have to. I'm working on practicing self-care and not working 24/7, 365. It's even though being a solopreneur, it's just like, okay, I need to breathe.
Yes.
I need to be able to walk my dogs. I went home for a week and just ate my way through the state, hung out with my friends and family and had, and with COVID, hadn't done that. I hadn't been home in almost 2 years. So that was so worth it. So worth it. So Nora has another, and she's just talking about what a great team that you have.
Oh, thank you.
So I love that. I love hearing that because, the proverb that you were quoting, Ola, that is so true. That is so true. It's that we need each other to get this work done.
Absolutely.
We really
That's
do.
the way we can move faster and stronger versus going by yourself. I mean, you can certainly do it yourself, but you're moving a whole lot much slower,
Yes.
Yes. And Dr. B?
Yes.
And Dr. B, not only are we diverse with our team is a very diverse team, but we're also diverse age. We have from the millennial all the way up to our senior, that's 70, that looks like she's about 50. Yeah. So we're all over the spectrum. So we believe in inclusion for everyone. And then I wanted to say a shout out to our other team. We have some amazing people that work behind the scene. Really, really amazing group of women that work. Yep. All over the country. So Ola, you want to?
Pakistan. We're talking about. We have a Peruvian.
Wow.
I mean, we're all over the place. We love diversity here. We like inclusion. So that's the way we want it to be because that's reality. We are the new majority. Mm-hmm. We are the new majority is global. It doesn't look like all Black. It don't look like all white. We are all kinds, all spectrum, and all God's children. So
you're doing the real diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging work that people talk about. You put it into action.
Absolutely.
Yes, you've put it into action. I love that so much. So, Ola, you've mentioned your book a couple of times.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, because one of the things people know, my audience out there, I love books. Going to a bookstore or going to a library, that's my happy place. So when I'm feeling down, if I'm around books, my husband has told me that I'm not allowed to bring any more books in the house. So we have to sneak them in. And it's really hard not to go online and buy a book. So now, because I'm on the board of trustees at the library, I really work on using that library card. But I often find that I take one book back and I take 4 out, and I'm like, okay, when am I going to read these 4 books? They get renewed multiple times before I get around to them. But so tell us about your book.
Yeah, so the name of my book is Get Your Foot Off My Neck, Memoirs of a Nigerian American Architect. Same as you, Dr. B, I start off talking about my childhood when I was born. My father my father passed away while my mom was still pregnant with me. So my mom was 7 months pregnant with me when he died, very young. So same as you, my mom, single parent, who raised myself and my siblings. But the book talks about my earlier life, because I felt like in order for people to understand my life now, they really needed to know my roots from, when I was younger. So I kind of have a part 1 and a part 2 where it's more of a memoir. And then the second part goes more into business sense, and being and also going into predominantly white male industry, wanting to study architecture, and encountering situations where professors were trying to discourage me from going into architecture. They were, telling me I actually had one professor tell me he was going to flunk me because he didn't think I should be doing architecture. I've had another professor tell me that he didn't understand why I wanted to be an architect. And, I ended up working for places like General Motors. For years, I worked at Sears. I worked for the government for 6 years. I worked for Starbucks, designing their coffee shops in the international market. So all of the negativity and the naysayers, all they did is just put a fuel to just make me successful. And, Get Your Foot Off My Neck ended up being Amazon's bestseller in 3 different categories. Under architecture, I think architects and biography, under business women, I think business, and women, and also under family abuse.
Okay.
It's a book about empowering females, particularly women of color, and also trying to help people who think that success, there's a lot, and I know Susan has been and she's in the industry, and I'm sure you will understand what I'm saying. There's a lot of people who walk around, especially, I think it seems to me, this new generation, where they feel that the only way they're going to succeed, because they're so anxious. Everybody's always so quick. They just want that, want to get up quick. And they don't want to go through the process, of just learning things. They don't, and they have this idea in their mind that in order to be successful, you need to step on next. So that was the premises of Get Your Foot Off My Neck. And I was actually watching a documentary on Hulu with, the notorious RBG, Ruth.
Yes.
And she said something, and she quoted an abolitionist from the 1800s. She was a female. Her name was Sarah Grimes. And she said something along the lines, and it was specific to sexism. It was specific to women not always being treated secondary. And she says, all we are asking of our brethren, which are male, is that they get their feet off our necks. And that's when I had the epiphany to come up with Get Your Foot Off My Neck. So this is an empowering book. It's not about George Floyd. Funny enough, when I launched the book, I launched it specifically in the middle of, because I launched it, I'm a leap year baby. I'm February 29th.
Okay.
My birthday only comes every 4 years, right? But February 29th also happens to be smashed in between Black History Month and Women's International Month. Okay, so I'm like, perfect, right? And so I put that out February 29th of last year, right when the pandemic was becoming a thing. So for the first 3 weeks, it was, Amazon's bestseller, just everywhere, like everywhere. I was so happy. And then all of the tours that I had planned had to get canceled because of the pandemic. So I wasn't able to really continue to just put it out. But then it went back to bestseller when George Floyd got stepped, when they basically, stepped on his neck in broad daylight till he got murdered. So people seem to think that it had something to do with racism, but no, it's really about oppressive mentalities.
Right.
And realizing that if you step on people's necks, there are consequences, and you can actually still thrive and be a good person. You can thrive and be decent and have integrity and want to help other people. A lot of people in my industry don't want to share information because they're like, oh, I suffered, so you should suffer too. I'm like, that's crazy. If you suffered, then you know how it is. You know how terrible and how much it sucks. So why don't you help your sister out, and giving them that information that will empower them, that will help them thrive. But people they just have this notion that you need to step on people's neck. You need to be ruthless. You need to be insensitive. And I don't buy into that. I really talk about all of the situations where I continue being myself. I keep holding myself with the highest integrity, and I still thrive, and I'm still making 6 figures, and I'm doing well. So I didn't have to step on anyone's neck to get to where I am. People notice my talent, and I got featured in all these different places just because, I was just doing me.
Right. I love that. I cannot wait to read. I cannot. Another book I'll have to sneak into the house.
Well, you're getting this one free. I'm going to make sure I autograph it for you. So
thank you so much.
Will be happy. Your husband will be happy.
Okay. And I'm just thinking of the young women that I mentor. What a great book for them to read.
It really is.
My youngest son, it's a running joke here that, at birthdays and Christmas, one of the gifts will be a book.
Yeah,
and he will say, yeah, don't let her buy you a gift. It's going to be a book.
But this is going to be a good book, and it's a quick read. It's very quick, but I really, not only do I, like I said, it's 2 portions. I really talk about business lessons and all of these things that really helps women. And I've had men read a book too, and they just think it's an excellent read, and they end up giving it to their wives or their daughters. So I think for any person who particularly is going into a field where they're the minority, they will really find the book very interesting and figure out how to navigate, those inevitabilities of life. There will always be someone who's going to try to block you. And one of the things that I say, that was a business lesson, is to make yourself irreplaceable and make yourself indispensable. That's what I figured out. And it was actually a Black male who told me, an architect who told me at the time, you need to learn this skill set. Nobody else knows it. And I had that. That's when I realized that that's what I need to do in everything in life. Just put myself in a situation where I can't be touched, and if you're the only one doing something, if you're the only one who understands the game, you will always win.
Yes. Black excellence.
Yes.
I love that. We have a couple of comments here. Nora saying, thank you from the senior member.
We weren't going to put you out like that, Nora.
She claimed it.
Good. You should, because you look 50 and fabulous, not 70.
We have another viewer, Deborah, who is saying that the whole story, everything that you ladies are doing is so cool.
Thank you.
And then we have from Roland, inspiration and powerful. I mean, this is going to be one of those talks that I will definitely be making sure that I share this with as many people as possible. So I'm thinking right now, and I do some volunteer work over at Fayetteville State University with their Gear Up program and their Upward Bound program. This would be having the young ladies or just the folks there listen to all the inspiration and all the empowerment that's coming out of this conversation, because now both of you have me thinking, okay, I got to get up tomorrow morning and do something different now. With the energy is coming through the screen, and it's just like, yeah, okay, so I'm going to be out there walking at 6 in the morning. I'm also going to be planning what do I need to do next.
Well, it's good. We're glad that we inspired you too. I mean,
you did. So ladies, so each one of you, Susan, what last piece of advice would you like to give to folks that are going into business or just trying to get through life?
Yeah.
I guess I would say to them, no matter what comes your way, continue to get up every day. No matter what it is, continue to get up every day and then shine. I wear yellow. They laugh because I wear yellow. I'm pretty much happy all the time, and there's not too many things that will get me down. But I always say, do you and continue to shine.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Ola, what about you?
You know, aside from what I had, said before about, making yourself indispensable and making yourself irreplaceable in anything in life, because that's how you win. It's funny, recently I had posted something on my Instagram page about copycats and saying how copycats can only copy what you did yesterday, but it can never copy what you're going to do in the future. And I had someone, everybody, of course, it resonated with so many people. I mean, there were over 300, people liking. It was very engaging post because, it really resonated with people, especially people in my industry who they're always, people are always copying them and, just telling them that, look, whatever you do, even if you copy me, that means you have to literally be sitting down watching what I did from yesterday. I've already did it, But someone came in a comment and, there's always going to be somebody saying something really odd or negative. And that person said, well, if that person ends up taking your idea and they have a larger audience and they and then they do it better, then you're screwed. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I says, well, I'm not screwed. Well, I don't think I'm screwed. I still keep on, I still keep on winning anyway, regardless,
Right.
And then, I told him I also believe in the repercussions of karma. I said something like that, So what goes around always comes around. I said that in a comment. Person came back again today. They didn't realize I was an author, and I love to write. You see,
Yeah.
If they realized that I was an author, I think they would have maybe not said anything and I had the time, I guess.
Yes.
So the person came back again and was like, wishful thinking, you live in something like I was living in La La Land. And I thought about that and I says, wow, this person is so pessimistic, and they didn't understand the message that I was trying to convey. I wasn't saying that I have not been copied before. I have been copied multiple times. And initially, when that first happened to me, of course, I'm a human. I got really angry. I'm like, I can't believe this person copied my concept. I've had people who are high caliber people, like celebrities, sort of, who want to find out what my source is and basically undercut me and go directly to my source. And they somehow think I'm stupid just because I'm a Black woman, right? They just think I'm stupid. And I had to make the comment to her, like, this person needs to understand that when I said copycats will always copy from yesterday, people will always copy you. People will always do that. However, when I look at my life, I'm still thriving. I'm still making 6 figures, on my way to making 7-8 figures with Yellow Bliss Co. It has not stopped me. I have not been screwed, and everyone knows that if you are truly a creative, you have a gazillion, 100 million different ideas in your life. So I'm not relying on one concept from yesterday to thrive.
Right.
So to any young person who's listening to this, who will be listening to this afterwards, if someone comes behind you and they do you wrong or they take your idea, don't worry about it. Just keep on coming up with new concepts. Keep on doing you. You'll still win anyway. You'll still win anyway. And it just can't be bothered about people. And the reality is you did it first.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm telling you, I'm going to go back and I have to re-listen to this and take some more notes because I'm like, oh my God, this is like 3 blog articles right here. You know, they just give so much information. I am beyond thrilled that I had the opportunity to talk with you two. I don't know. You just, some people just come into your life and they just fill your cup. And that's what both of you have done. This has just been such a feel good. This is like sitting around the kitchen table, having a conversation.
Wait till we get the wine, you know?
Yeah, you know, get a little wine here, you know, and just chill out. And it just feels, you know, and after COVID, this is what we need.
Yes.
This is what we need, these kind of conversations. And I am just like beyond happy that both of you were able to come on tonight. For people in the audience who are listening live, for people who are going to watch this on the replay multiple times, because every time you listen to this, you're going to learn something new. There's going to be another lesson in there. So you definitely need to make sure that you listen to this and share it out with young people, share it out with the people in your lives, because we all need, you know, some inspiration. We all need to feel empowered to do what's out there and what needs to be done. Because, you know, this can be a rough world. This can be a rough world. You've got some great comments coming in from your team. Roland said he's taking notes.
See, that's why I love our team. We are our own diehard fans. We really, all of us, we are diehard fans of each and every one of us. So I love it. So nobody's feeling jealous of anyone. Everybody just really, truly loves each other. So I love it. I love our team.
I love that. Your own fan club.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Again, it's been over an hour. This has been.
Has it been?
Oh,
yes,
wow.
this has been over an hour. You guys have been fantastic. As I said, for people watching this on the replay, please make sure you share this out because there's just so much good stuff in here. And our young folks need to see these Black and brown, amazing, talented, dynamic, creative, inspiring, empowering women out here. And did I say phenomenal? Because they are phenomenal. We need to just get out there. And folks, make sure you're looking for their launch of their business. I just love the whole idea of it. You have, you know, I'm going to put more information in the show notes so you can make sure that you're checking them out and you're waiting for them. And, you know, go on their Instagram page and make sure you start following so you can get all the updates and what have you. Again, Susan, Ola, this has been a pleasure. This has been this makes, you know, this isn't work. This is nice. This is nice. This is not work. This just feels like just hanging out.
Yeah,
hanging out.
It was this was really fun. Thank you so much for you know allowing us to be part of this. This is really nice. Thank you.
You are so welcome, and I can't
really appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. And I can't wait to see you when you just go viral and blow up. And I'm like, oh, I knew them when.
No, we're coming back on the show when we blow up.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to say, oh, they're really out here doing it now.
Yes.
So folks that are out there watching this is Dr. B from Steps to the Future. I will see you next Monday. Ladies, just hold on for a minute. I will see you next Monday. Hopefully with another college and career conversations with another fabulous person or persons to have a conversation with us. So folks, again, thank you so much for joining in. Make sure you share this out. It's on Facebook. It's also on my YouTube channel. And you can also find the link right on my homepage at Steps to the Future. So everyone, take care and enjoy the rest of your evening.